Good evening, distinguished viewers. Nakhchivan News Information Program is on air. This is probably going to be our last edition for COP29, which is being held in the capital of Azerbaijan, beautiful Baku city, and we are standing almost closer to the media center now in the blue zone, and very closer to the other plenary halls. So officially COP29 is not over yet, but still some ongoing negotiations and discussions are going on, and in order to come to a better fruitful outcome for the sake of that will serve for the benefit of all the parties of the conference. So starting from some information that we may give from what happened yesterday, G77 and China, they had their coordination meeting yesterday, and also another important meeting was held between the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Mr. Ceyhun Bayramov, and Federal Minister of Foreign Affairs of Germany, Ms. Annalena Baerbock, and the COP29 issues were at the central, at the core of their discussions. And also another important point was made on the revenues, income provision, that revenues were coming from carbon markets, and they will be mainly spent on the adaptation and mitigation expenditures. So that's another point. And overall, I would love to talk about some general information when it comes to COP29. As you know, Azerbaijan got ISO certificate, and it was the first country, the first ever country who got this before the process ended, and it includes lots of various aspects, from organizing, from CSR, all the responsibilities, and also doing all the procedures in accordance with climate-friendly process. And approximately 190 countries, meaning parties, have participated in COP29 throughout this process, and approximately 80,000 people have visited Baku. And coming up to the number of people represented in the delegations, of course, the maximum number is coming from Azerbaijan, obviously, which is the host country. And the second one is Brazil, which is going to host COP30 next year. And of course, if you talk about the exact place, it's going to happen in the breathing lungs of the earth, which is Amazon, and exactly naming the place, it's going to be held in Belém of Brazil. The third country with the most, with the number of delegations when it comes to maximum, it was Turkey, the brotherly nation Turkey, and the fourth one was United Arab Emirates, and also followed by China. So these are some general informations. As you know, there were various discussions according to themes throughout those 2 weeks of a great experience, actually. Various themes according to finance, investment, trade, agriculture, food, water problems, coastal zones, indigenous people, transportation, urbanization, technologies, science, education. Various those kinds of themes were discussed, and discussions were conducted according to them, of course. So coming to the updated text provided by the COP29's presidency yesterday, we can talk about some statistics. And the main, as you know, COP this year, COP29, is nicknamed as Finance COP. So talking about finance, what comes to mind preliminarily, firstly, is new collective quantified goals. Coming to the provided text, we can tell that first, reflection of parties' indicators include some of the aspects, such as calling up on all the parties, all the interested parties, in order to work together, to come together, in order to scale up financing for the developing nations, of course, for combating climate change issues, for climate action, from all public and private spheres, sources, let me tell, to at least collect 1.3 trillion US dollars per year by 2035. So looking up to the submission of developed nations, global north, as they describe in all of the actions. The provision says mentions the amount of 100 billion US dollars per year, up to 250 billion US dollars by the year of 2035. So these are the requirements and suggestions, let's say in simple words. And still, as mentioned yesterday by the speech of lead negotiator of COP29, who is Yalchin Rafiev, he mentioned in his speech, still ongoing negotiations are underway, and it includes UNFCCC authorities and bodies, of course, the COP29 Azerbaijani presidency team. So, and also a few minutes ago, an action of a pay-up action was held by people who were trying to make their voices heard. And also, for now, these are all the information that we can give, that we can provide. And at the end, I would love to thank all the team of Nakhchivan Autonomous Republic's television and radio broadcasts closed joint stock company, all the staff members, all the people working there, and of course to our dearest audience, to our viewers, for all the hard work, for all the experience that we had throughout these 2 weeks that we spent in Baku. So thanks to all the people, thanks to UNFCCC, thanks to many thanks and appreciation by our overall team to the Republic of Azerbaijan's government in order for their provision of that amazing opportunity, platform and experience. As you know, we need a green world. As people, representatives from media and journalism field, we would love to highlight on this problem, because maybe there is not any other bigger problem than climate issues in the world, alongside with, of course, wars going on. So we wish for a better, peaceful and green world, of course, because, you know, it's a chain reaction. Starting from the first day we are mentioning this, emissions, all kind of other stuff, all kind of pollutions, water scarcity, these are a threat to the future of the world and when it comes to combating climate change. So we need to combat this problem because it's a chain reaction. It affects from food to all kinds of natural disasters, to droughts, to pollution, to all the other aspects, of course, also floods. So we hope for a better world, that we will come together in order to tackle these issues, to better decision make and bring some global, regional awareness to the issue, so that if we protect our nature, the mother nature will be returning this as a protection for us, of course. Even some of the pandemics, that kind of stuff, that kind of events are some kind of response from nature to us. So we need to protect the world individually, regionally, and of course in the global sphere. So we hope that we will be bringing other information throughout our next broadcast from the studio from Nakhchivan city, and of course up until that period of time, we hope that we will meet you in a green world. Thank you so much for your attention. We appreciate your time.
I am the lead negotiator for mitigation work program and then also following NDC features. Being in the COP my main purpose is to negotiate for my continent, in the African group of negotiators, and then least development countries. Main region is, we can say the problem is accessibility to resources, so that at least livelihoods can be better. We have what we call energy poverty in our place, which is related to many lives. And then, we get climate impacts on flooding because we come from the western part of Africa, which is definitely dominated by a lot of river. So my country is a river flooded area. And then when there is a lot of rains, most of the compounds, they get, destroyed.
There were lots of themes, thematics, topics. For example, education, indigenous people, all the problems. In case of the world, in case of the overall world, what do you think is the main problem? A melting ice or
I think the main problem is all the displacement, climate crisis that is happening everywhere. We can just take a sample what happened in Spain, which is the first country, and then it hit at 205 people, 10 people died. Imagine a similar thing happens to my country, the whole city would have gone. And then the actual main problem is the COP is failing to deliver on addressing, reaching to agreements that can really save those kind of problems. Yeah, I think Azerbaijan, the organization of the COP, have been wonderful. It was just amazing that in 5 months you are able to build all the structures and make sure everybody is comfortable. The transport system, which is so ecologic, I love that. And then the other thing is, how amazing are the people. They're always helping, so perfectly I can say thank you for that welcoming.
Dearest viewers, we have a guest coming from Scotland. Hello, Mr. Peter Higgins. Welcome to our broadcast. As someone experienced from the field of education, he's working at the University of Edinburgh. As you know, our dearest viewers, one of the themes of the day was related to education. And when it comes to combating climate change issues, education plays a huge role. So we would love to hear from him, from an expert like him in this regard. Welcome. Could you please introduce yourself firstly?
Okay, so I'm Peter Higgins. I am a professor of outdoor environmental and sustainability education at the University of Edinburgh. And I have other responsibilities in the UK, mostly to do with the UK's nature conservation agencies, where I'm a governance board member. Much of my work is working with pre-service teachers, other educators, and young people, trying to get them to understand sustainability as a concept, and particularly through involvement in the natural world. In Scotland, we have some of the problems that some other countries have. So we get flooding. We've had our sea defences broached recently. Even in the town I live in, near Edinburgh, a sea wall, which has been there for at least 200 years, came down, caused flooding. There's also a lot of biodiversity change that's taking place, loss of species and movement of species because of differences in the climate, and very unseasonal changes in the weather. So more often we get wetter weather, and things are just changing visibly over the years as the climate is changing more globally. So the same as other places, but we don't suffer from the wildfires, the torrential flooding that some places have, and the human loss. And globally, we know that these disasters are out there, and the science is absolutely clear, the relationship between these and global temperature rise. And the consequence of that temperature rise is also in loss of nature, loss of biodiversity, and of course the loss of nature, the loss of biodiversity is impacting on the climate globally. We know this, and we're suffering a little in the UK, but nothing compared to some other countries.
You're a professor, and I would like to know your opinion on whether, when it comes to protecting nature, protecting environment, is it something, a problem of an individual or states, laws and regulations?
What a brilliant question. So it's I wouldn't even like to use the word problem. It's a responsibility. We all have a responsibility. So the way I think about it is almost every decision I make, I have in mind climate and nature. And so, for example, the only reason I'm here and the only reason I flew here is because the University of Edinburgh has 2 places at the COP, and I was asked to come because we're doing a massive online course called Learning for a Sustainable Future live at COP29, which my colleagues and I are running through Coursera and with students all over the world. So my involvement here is partly to do with that. Otherwise I wouldn't have come to this COP. So that's an individual decision within, if you like, my company, which is a university, the University of Edinburgh. And every day I make individual decisions about what I eat. I don't eat meat really. I'm careful about what I eat, all for sustainability and climate purposes. And some of my research is very clear on the impacts of those individual decisions. However, the biggest issue of all is what states choose to do, what nations choose to do, and the way they relate to companies. So we're driven very much by a capitalistic model, which has delivered enormous benefits. But the problem with that model is that you have to control the companies, otherwise you are led by the companies, and the companies are led by profit. So the role of the state in regulation and control and thinking of the benefits for all, and not just all within a country, but all everywhere, should be, to my mind, the driving force of policy making at national level.
I'm here to see and look what is going on, about COP29 and everything. Personally, I liked everything. Everything's really nice. I really want to get interview from people from other countries. I want to see their opinion about my country, my culture. Well, I got interview from 1 or 2 people from Japan, and they really liked our country, the culture, especially the food. Good evening, dear television viewers. Today is November 22nd, and this is our last edition of Nakhchivan News for COP29. Over the past 11 days, we want to inform you about the discussions held at the COP29 conferences. We'll welcoming you from the studio on November 25th. That was all from us for COP29 week. Hoping to see you again on Monday. Have a good night.